Hello and welcome to Rambling on RV. I'm Carl, and tonight we want to have a real fast chat with you and kind of tell you what this video is all about.
Hi, I'm Donna, and listen, I just wanted to take a minute and thank all of you guys so much for all the love and support you've been sharing with me. Some of you may or may not know that my mom passed away recently. When we shot our last video at St. Thomas, we just had her funeral the day before. So going out to St. Thomas was just kind of a opportunity for me to kind of get my head out of things, and I was real quiet though, and so I just kind of wanted to take a minute, say thanks. We're glad you guys are here. It just means the world to us, and we've really been enjoying this and having a good time, and I'm gonna cook today. So. And
I think it's important to note that Donna is an excellent cook, and we are dedicating this video to the memory of her mother because Donna's mom, Doris, taught her a whole lot about the love and the art and the passion for cooking. And
she didn't teach me much about cooking though. Her and I couldn't work in the kitchen at all. Like growing up, like you'd think that I would have learned something. If I did learn anything, it was just by osmosis, because she couldn't stand to have anybody in her kitchen. And now I'm the same way. I can't stand to have anybody.
Yeah, it's an off limit zone for me, which, you know what, that's not too bad because I really don't have to help much with the cooking. I mean, I do tater tots.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to eat them.
Put enough ketchup on them, they're great.
But I guess the point is growing up, I mean, like, I'm sure Carl probably thought he was getting a good cook when we got married, but he was kind of surprised to learn it was definitely a learning curve to it for me.
No, I'd been invited to her mom and dad several times while we were dating for food, and I got to tell you, Doris was a farmhouse cook, and she was proud of that fact. She made huge portions, and she made that kind of food that sticks to your ribs. Nobody made better homemade chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, and green beans than Donna's mom. And
she's kind of famous for her chicken and dumplings, chicken and noodles.
Yeah. And so Donna and I got married. We went on our honeymoon. We came home. Donna made the first meal. It was roast, right?
Well, it was that first week I tried something new every night, and the last night was the roast.
And let me tell you, I'm still trying to chew that roast now.
I looked up from my plate and I looked at Carl, and he was chewing and chewing and chewing, and then I just bust out crying and ran to the bedroom because I knew how awful it was.
So tonight, please watch the video, and when you do, think of those wonderful cooks in your family that just knock it out of the park every time, because
it's a labor of love. It really is.
I've got one of those cooks right here, and Donna's mom was one of those cooks, and every family has that cook that you just can't wait to come over and bring their dish to a family potluck.
Well, Jethro, hand out the pot passers and the meat stabbers. Let's get at it.
And that can be said about Donna, and it certainly was said often about her mom.
I know one Thanksgiving, we were expecting about 8 people for Thanksgiving dinner. This was when I was a kid. And like, for some odd reason, it turned out that about 25 people showed up. And not only did Mom have enough food to feed everybody, but she had leftovers. And in my house, if you didn't eat the leftover, if you didn't like have seconds, you didn't really like it.
You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars.
Hi, welcome to Dining with Donna. Today we're in my kitchen. I'm going to make an Italian recipe for you called Braciole. It's a stuffed flank steak, and I made this in the camper, but today we're in my kitchen. I'm going to make it in here today, but you can make the same thing in your camper anytime you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to start with an onion. I've got a pretty big onion here, so I'm just going to do half of it. You can use skirt steak or beef cube steaks if you like for this recipe. And today I have quite a bit of steak. I would normally, be way too much for just Carl and I. But you know me, I like to cook once and eat twice. Okay, so now that I have tears in my eyes, I'm gonna get the garlic out of the freezer. So what I do is, when I have to peel some garlic, I go ahead and do the whole clove, and then I put them all into a sandwich bag and put them in the freezer. And then that way, whenever I need the garlic, it's ready to go. And if I just warm it up in my pan, it'll get all nice and mushy. And then sometimes I'll pull it out of the pan and chop it up. So there's our garlic, and that's all for later. And for this, I need to get out my mallet. I have 3 pretty good sized pieces. And what we want to do is trim any excess fat off of it. And I can cut it into a little bit more manageable pieces if I need to, because we're going to stuff it and roll it up. So now what I'm doing is I'm just trimming up a little bit of the fat off of it. If you guys know me, you know I am not a fan of fat. Fat is flavor, but I don't want gristle in my mouth. And as I get these pieces done, I'll set them over to the side. Okay, so I'm going to use there's 2 sides to this mallet. One is flat. The other one has some bumps to it. So I'm going to use the side with the bumps. Whatever kind of steak you're doing, you want it to get it nice and flat, because we're gonna lay cheese and prosciutto and a little bit of stuffing on this. So I'm just going to wash up my hands now. Something else I like to do when I'm cooking in the kitchen, especially if it's a big, group of people or a lot of food I'm cooking or whatever, is I go ahead and I run a small sink full of soapy water. And that way, as I'm working, I just go ahead and put my, dirty dishes as I'm working into the soapy water. And it gives them a chance to kind of soak a little bit before I actually have to do the dishes. And it helps me keep a clean kitchen while I'm working, which I'm just a real big fan of. So something I kind of learned to do years ago when I was a personal chef, I would go do all the shopping in the morning, and then I would go to the person's house and I would cook like 2 weeks worth of meals all in one day. And so you have to learn to be really organized, and there's not enough dishes to do that many meals, so you have to wash as you go. So it was another place that I learned to keep a sink full of soapy water. So it's really helpful. Just some Italian style breadcrumbs. I like to use these because they're already seasoned and it takes a step out of the process for me. So to that, we're going to add just a little bit of olive oil and some grated Parmesan cheese. And this is going to go on top of our prosciutto and our provolone. And you just want to moisten the breadcrumbs. If it looks like you don't have enough, you can add a little more. Just kind of smoosh them down. Just getting a little moisture in there. Looks like I could use a little more oil. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to season the steak before we start putting our ingredients on. And I just have some thinly sliced prosciutto here. You could also use ham if you want. And actually, you don't even have to use this. You could just use stuffing. You could just use cheese. I mean, it's kind of up to you. It's whatever you want to do, but the traditional way is the prosciutto and provolone cheese, and then a little bit of our stuffing. Okay, And then I'm gonna start at the long end and I'm just going to roll this up, just like that. You can tie it with twine. Today I've got toothpicks, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stick a couple of toothpicks in each one of these, and then we're gonna brown them up. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep rolling and stuffing, and then we'll move on from there. It's all cut up. I've got several pieces, as you can see, so it's gonna make quite a bit. And we're gonna do it today in the Ninja Foodie. I don't think I've talked about how excited I am about my new Ninja Foodie. But it's an expensive piece of equipment. It takes up a lot of real estate in the RV. So if you're gonna commit to something like this, you need to really make sure that it's something that you use. And although sometimes it's easier, like change is hard, and grabbing my Dutch oven and doing it in the oven is easier, but the oven in the RV, as you guys probably know, it's just not that great. It's not very big. The Ninja Foodie will do everything, does it all in one pot. I only have one pot to clean at the end of the day. So if you can commit yourself to using it, I think that you guys will find that it's a really cool tool. This one is the 4-in-1. So it browns and sears, it pressure cooks, it air fries, it steams. It's great for cooking rice, cooking pasta. I'm not going to do the pasta in it today, but if I were going to, I would go ahead and do the pasta first and then set it to the side and then put it in with the sauce later. Today I'm going to go ahead and do the pasta on the stove just to save time. So I'm going to put my pasta water on the stove to bring to a boil, and I've salted it. That helps add flavor to your pasta. So we're just going to put the lid on it, and while that's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and heat up the Ninja Foodie. Okay guys, so I've got my Ninja Foodie heating up on the saute simmer, and I'm just going to add a little bit of avocado oil to the pan. I really like avocado oil. It's heart healthy. It holds a high smoke point, so you can cook it at higher temperatures like canola oil, but it's a lot better for you and it doesn't have any flavor to it. So I'm just going to put a little oil in the pan, and then we're going to saute our veg. So I'm going to put in the garlic and onions. That's the sizzle I like to hear. And stir this for a minute. I'm going to soften up these garlic cloves, and then I'm going to pull them out and give them a dice. Okay, so I've got my garlic all smooshed and chopped up, and I'm going to put it back into my pan. Smells amazing in here. Is there anything better than the smell of fresh roasted garlic? I love it. Okay, so our pasta water is boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and drop in our pasta before I brown the Braciole, but it won't matter because once I get the pasta done, then I can just reheat it later when we're ready. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put our Braciole in. We're going to brown it on all sides, so we're just going to let it run a few minutes and we're going to turn it. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil to the pan. It's a little dry, and we want to make sure that that meat browns really good. Okay, so we've got a really nice sear on the meat. I'm going to go ahead and take them out. We're going to let them rest on a plate. And then we're going to deglaze the pan. If you've got a little white wine and you like to use that in your cooking, you can go ahead and do that. You could use beef broth. I think when you're doing a beef recipe and it calls for broth, you should use broth. If you're doing chicken, you should use chicken broth. But today, I don't have wine or beef broth. So what I have is I have a large 28-ounce can of San Marzano tomatoes. Love San Marzanos, they're really good. They're whole, and the best way to take care of that is you just get in there with your hand and mush up those tomatoes. And I've added about a can of water to this because when you're cooking in the Ninja Foodie, kind of like when you're cooking in a crock pot, you need more liquid. So we're gonna add this to our pot. Okay, I turned the Ninja Foodie off for a minute because I'm gonna add all of our liquid and I'm gonna get all of our ingredients in, and then we're gonna put the meat back in and pressure cook it. This is a large can. Oh, what are the ounces on here? 12 ounces. This is a 12-ounce can of tomato paste. I'm probably not going to use all of it. I'll probably use about 2/3 of it, and that should be plenty. Okay, so I've got our tomato paste, our tomatoes, our liquid in here, the onions, the garlic. I'm going to add some Italian seasoning. I like to buy it in these little grinders so that I don't know if it makes it taste any fresher, but I think it does. So we're just gonna grind a few, maybe about a teaspoon and a half of the Italian seasoning. And then I've got some crushed red pepper flakes. Probably gonna put in about half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Gives it a little bit of a zing. And I've got some fresh parsley that I've chopped. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in now. You can put it at the end if you'd rather. All right, we're just gonna stir and mix all that up really good. Okay, now we're gonna put our Braciole back in. Okay, we're gonna put our pressure lid on, and if you guys aren't too familiar with this, there's a vent that says seal or vent. We're gonna turn it to seal, and then we're just gonna put it on, I say, and you slide it so that it locks. Now that I've said it, I can't do it. Okay, there we go. And we've got it on vent. All right, so the power is on. We're going to put it on pressure cook, and we're gonna put it on high for 30 minutes. Actually, I think I'm gonna do 45 because there's a lot of meat in there. Okay, and then we just hit start. Okay, so it'll take a few minutes, maybe a good 5 minutes because of all the liquid that's in there for it to get up to pressure. So you'll see this little dial rolling around. Just wait for that, and then when it gets to pressure, it will start counting down from your 45 minutes. And so then you just keep an eye on that. And when it gets down to 0, it'll beep, and then it'll start counting up. At that point, you want to wait 10 minutes, let the pressure release, and you do that by just turning the little valve to vent. And keep your hands away from the hot steam because it'll be really hot. Usually I'll use a spoon or something, and you just turn it. So let it cook. We're gonna wait 45 minutes. We're going to let the pressure release for 10, and then we're going to flip the valve, and I'll come back and see you then. Oh my God, you guys, I can't believe that I forgot to taste the food on camera so you could see how it was. It turned out really good, and I hope you get a chance to make it. If you have any questions for me about it, check down below, comment. I'll respond as soon as I can. Listen, don't forget to like and subscribe. And next week, we're going to do a little bit on how we RV with our dogs. So don't forget to check in. Bye, you guys.